Hello, hello, hello. Facebook's here, YouTube's here, and Instagram's finally here. Only took me 1 week to try to figure out Instagram Live. I'm very, very analog, but I'm very excited to be here. Hey, oh my gosh, yay. I'm Molly Carmel. I am, the founder of Hey Siobhan, founder of Close the Kitchen, and, here fiercely devoted to your freedom. We get together 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to chat a little, keeps ourselves together. I have so many exciting people here. Hey everybody. And because life is as lifey as I can remember, right? Because moving into Halloween, so there's candy everywhere, and we got Thanksgiving, and we just have like life as it is. It's a lot going on. And there's never been a better time for us to be communing and supporting each other and loving each other through everything. Hello, there's so many people. I wish I could call everybody out. It's so exciting. So anyway, so we meet together and we commune and we chat about, a little topic just to help keep us put together. And a lot of times we talk about topics that really interfere with your ability to maintain this loving, healthy, peaceful relationship with food that so many of us really, really want. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with y'all. So, and with the things, if we can't name it, or when we can name it, it doesn't have to control us. And I want to spend a little bit of time, and by a little bit of time, I mean probably the whole week, talking about weight. I talked about this on Friday's Close the Kitchen. I got to put my hair away. We're getting real. Time to put the hair away. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, here's the deal. On Friday, I talked about this. Remember, I was talking about all of these like conflicting, like diet things that come into our brains, right? And how, oh, really? Can everybody not hear me on Instagram? I mean, it's just another Insta problem that we're having. How about this? I'm going to hold it. Can you hear me now on Instagram? Keep me updated. So here's the deal. We were talking about this on Friday, and I was saying, are you sure that we're having, sometimes when we move and we're thinking about food and we're thinking about this and we're thinking about that, and it gets really obsessive and it gets really crazy, we are actually having a feeling and we're sort of avoiding the feeling. Thank you, my loves. Wait, I'm going to put it down. Tell me if you can hear it. Now, can you hear me? Tell me again. Now, can you hear me? I mean, loud and clear. Sugar-proof kids. Hi. Oh my God. You guys, there's this book called Sugar-Proof Kids. You have to read it. It's incredible. I want to bring them. I should have them on Close the Kitchen. Okay, let's get to the topic at hand. I know. Okay, here we go. I've been hearing you in my voice for 5 years. Thanks, Josh. Fair. There's a whole litany of people who feel that way. Here's what we're talking about tonight. We are talking about weight, because if you want to talk about the thing that interferes with your ability to really have a peaceful relationship with food, you can bring that scale in, and it is like sabotage central, my loves. And it's such a tricky gig. It is such a tricky gig. Because listen, I used to weigh 325 pounds. Like, I lived in that body and it was not okay with me, right? With me. One size doesn't fit all. If somebody tells you there's one way, run away. I had health problems. Like, you name it, it was a problem. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. P.S. What I was doing to maintain that 325 pounds wasn't no body love, wasn't no self-love, right? So I needed to clean it up. And clean it up I did. It's a big, long story in chapter 1 of Breaking Up with Sugar, if you ever want to read it. But the problem is, so for me, we really had this big problem because it's sort of the best measure we have to figure out how we're doing, right? Sort of on our path. Thank you, Anne. And yet, we get so obsessed with it that we end up, lighting our relationship on fire. And it's like, let me tell you something. If you learn anything from me in your lifetime, the answer is never the opposite. The answer is always the balance. And so I was working with one of my clients this week, who I like live and die for, as I do for all of you, as I hope you know. And, she got on the scale because she wants to see, you just need to like make sure, because the thing is, like, the food stuff comes with a lot of blind spots. And we can really fool ourselves into thinking that we're doing things in the service of releasing weight, and we're not. And sometimes it's small tweaks. Sometimes we have 5 pounds to lose and we need to accept that maybe we live 5 pounds heavier. One size doesn't fit all. If somebody tells you to run away, walk, if somebody tells you that there's only one way, run away. I say that to the intuitive eating movement. I say that's all the movements. One size does not fit all. We need to find the path that works for us. And that may be from borrowing all sorts of things. That's what I like. I like a big party. I like a big party of ideas. More is more. So anyway, so she gets on the scale. She's doing amazingly. She was like this hardcore binge eater, and she's like regulating her food. She's like feeling great in her body again. She's like sleeping. She's hopeful. I mean, EIEIO, the progress, like so exciting. She gets on the scale and she's like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I ask her a question, which I ask a lot of people. You should know this. And you should ask her, like, I say, well, like, is there a number that would make you happy? And, I think she sort of came to the idea that there isn't. There is not actually an actual weight that would make her happy. And like, what's the alternative? You know how I say that? Like Amy always says that on her Facebook. Like, what's the alternative? Like, what, are you just going to go binge your brains out now? Because that's so fascinating, right? Like, we get on a scale, we don't like the number. And then so often, maybe it's just me, but so often the reaction to that is to like binge your brains out and harm yourself with food. It makes no sense. So then there's this idea like, well, maybe I should never get on the scale. I think that's really tricky too, right? Gives that number so much power. Like, the truth is, like the antidote to being scale phobic is to get scale neutral, right? Let's get scale neutral. And seeing a number would get you pretty neutral about that. But yeah, somebody's saying over on Facebook, I always binge after weight. Side note, I worked at a weight loss camp for so many years, and we would have to get weighed as counselors. And all we would do is go to Dunkin' Donuts after and get many bagels and cream cheese. I get it. But the thing is, so the answer is not necessarily to never weigh yourself. It might be, but if you're in a space where you want, and perhaps, are feeling a need to release weight, not knowing a number or not having a relationship with a scale isn't going to work. So this is the most beautiful work that you get to do here, right? It's the most beautiful work that you get to do here, should you choose to. Let me tell you something. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just shining some light on some ideas. Perhaps you want to integrate them into your relationship with food and yourself. Just your guide, just your bestie. So listen, it's about really finding a new relationship with a scale neutral. But the real problem starts to happen is when we get into this belief system that our worth is measured by that number. It gets really tricky. And worse than all of this, and I want you to listen over here, Facebook, and I want you guys to listen up. The real problem happens, ears open, is when we measure whether or not our relationship with food is working, and the way of life that we're evolving into, like this relationship with food that we're creating. We make a decision that it isn't working based on the amount of weight that we've released or the number on the scale. This is the unacceptable piece, because the main thing that you're doing when you're recreating and reforming your relationship with food, and also your relationship with yourself, the only way you can do that is to stay the course. The rest is your diet trauma. A scale neutral relationship is very possible. It's very possible, but it takes healing the wounds that make you so reactive about the scale. This is emotional, right? It's not just a number. Just like I've said, our concept of close the kitchen tonight is weight is so much more than just a number. Really getting scale neutral is healing the wounds, healing the self-worth, Healing the idea. Listen, and this is what I said to my client. I said, I have been weighing people for 20 years. And while the scale is like, it's the best we have, and it's a totally crappy assessment of how you're doing in a lot of ways. And especially in a case like I'm talking about, right? Because the truth is, if you want permanent, lasting results, and you know what I always say, it's like, don't we want to stop talking about this one day? Don't we want to just have the story end? You know, it's like, oh, no, 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 and I'm so scared of the scale, and then I binge. Like, we want this to be permanent and lasting so that we can have a big, beautiful life where food is just a part of it. And we trust ourselves around food, and we have peace, and we have a lot of neutrality, and we love the foods. You know, I always talk about this. But the only way to do that is to get a different relationship with the scale. For some of you, that really may mean you don't weigh yourself, like none of my business. But for there's many of us, myself included, like I don't have the luxury of not getting on the scale because my blind spots can really get involved, right? My blind spots can really get involved, and they can be like, no, it's just your body image. It's this. And then I get on the scale and I'm heavier and I have to make some adjustments, some loving adjustments. So I always think about one of my favorite humans on earth, Dr. Marty Lerner, who owns an amazing treatment center in Florida called Milestones in Recovery. And one of his kind of famous sayings is that we want to judge how we are doing by how we are doing. We don't want to judge how we are doing by how we are feeling. We want to judge how we are doing by how we are doing. And this to me is such how we have to get with the scale, right? We need to judge our relationship with food by how we're doing, not by how we're weighing. It's a number. It has some importance. If there's multiple attempts and you have a weight to release, you may want to talk to a professional about what to do and what to do differently. You may want to be radically accepting that you don't want to do what it takes. It's so loaded. We're going to talk about it for such a long time. But more importantly, it's about creating behaviors and relationship with food that you want to stick with, that you want to run the course with, that takes care of you, mind, body, and soul. Body included there, though, my loves. Body included there, my loves. For those of you, it's important too, right? So releasing weight is important. To me, I'm one of these people, I'm not part of that health at any size. I'm just not. It's not part of my belief system. It's not part of my story. I've seen it really impact people negatively. I've seen it impact people positively. And y'all know how I feel about diet culture. Oh my goodness, the diet drama and trauma. And I think that's a lot of what happens when we get on the scale. It's like we literally, and I say this as a therapist, we literally have this traumatized experience that makes us like run towards the scale, which is why we have to be healing the wounds of where it happened that we put our worth on that number. It's not that it's not important, but it can't be that important. You know what I mean? So releasing weight is important if it's important to you, if it's a part of this thing for you. And the real issue, the real important thing is how you're getting there. Because what we know from science is that those repetitive behaviors that you're doing are the ones that count. And I want to say it because if those repetitive behaviors are, well, I'm really, really good. I'm like dieting, right? And then I get on a scale and then I binge my brains out and I'm in deep self-hate and demoralization. And that repeats over and over and over again. Then that's what your relationship's going to look like. That's your how, right? But if we're doing this kind of peacefully and lovingly and making these brave choices and looking at vows and taking care of ourselves in ways that aren't always easy, then like life can change. And I think then weight is really, really an outcome, not a measure. And I say that over and over. Hey, Andrea, and I say that over and over. The weight is an outcome. It's not a measure. Releasing weight is an outcome of loving behaviors towards yourself and your body. This might be controversial for some of you who are of the intuitive eating movement. I get it. One size doesn't fit all, but here's what I learned. There's something to learn from everybody. You know, I've really learned that. I'm doing a lot of reading about health at any size right now. I'm just all about learning, right? And just taking what I want and leaving the rest and just trying to learn from all different facets because This is about you, and this is about like no more drama. This is about like you learning what works for you. Like you are the authority on this thing, not me, not any other life coach, like whatever it is. Like this is about you creating this relationship. It's all it's about. And I'm here to help you do that, right? I am here to help you do that. And it has a lot to do with getting over this diet stuff and this weight stuff and healing those wounds. We're talking about a lot. It's kind of my new thing. So anyway, if you like it, let me know. Leave a little like, leave a little comment, whatever you want. I am just here loving on you. If someone hasn't told you that they love you today, I will tell you right now. I love you. I love you deeply. And I hope to see you Wednesday at 3:30. We have our little like afternoon snack time, or if you're on the Pacific Coast, lunchtime get together. And I will see you then, my loves. Bye.